Hey travelers, Mag, I, and a whole lot of geocachers here on day 244 of our trip around the United States. Today is February 29th. It is the leap year, and it is a day that we all know only comes around once every 4 years. That is a big deal in the game of geocaching, as you can see by all the people who came out to attend this event in the middle of the week. We are actually one day ahead of schedule. That's because I had no expectation that we'd actually be able to cover the 560 miles that we set out for ourselves yesterday. But not only did we do it, but we got ahead of schedule as well. So today, after we attend this event, we're going to make our way out of St. George, through Hurricane, and into Zion National Park. This will take us through 160 miles. That's 50 that we had left over from today, and 110 that we have from tomorrow. If we are fortunate, we will finish all of our targets in Zion National Park and be able to make it to Canal by the end of the day. If not, we may be doing the second day in Zion National Park. I guess we're going to have to see. But either way, we're going to spend a little bit of time meeting the local geocachers here, and then we're going to get out and go see what Zion National Park has in store for us. So come on, let's go. We are here at the Leap Day event, and as we like to do at events, we're getting to meet many of the local geocachers here. So we are sitting here with
Ulrich Hasdijk.
And how many geocaches have you found, Hasdijk?
I found 10,200.
10,200, nice. How long have you been in the game?
About 13 years.
Okay, so you've been in almost as long as I have. I started in 2010. You would have been 2011?
2010.
Okay.
2010, November 2010 is the last one.
Okay, opposite ends of the year, basically.
Yeah, and that was in Australia.
Australia was your first find?
First find was in Australia.
What part?
In New South Wales.
Oh man, that must have been something beautiful out there.
Great. Yeah. Great caching country. Cached in the States, in Canada, in Australia, Germany, and the Netherlands.
And Hawaii.
Oh, and Hawaii, well, that's US.
So you've hopped around the map a little bit.
We have.
What is it about geocaching that brings you to this game day after day?
Well, I'll tell you, it's just getting to places that you would never get to otherwise. You're looking at places that you never thought existed, and here's a geocache, and hey, I've been here.
And we are hoping to continue to show you many of those fantastic locations, and maybe one day Australia too.
Okay.
We are here with Traveling Trio. Traveling Trio has been geocaching since
2007.
2007. So you've been in the game now. My math ain't that great. 17 years.
Yes.
How many have you found in that time?
10,257.
10,257. That is a very exact count.
Yeah.
So you are active on your logs and you're keeping it going.
Yes, I am.
How many states have you made it through in that time?
I've made it through 11 states, 3 countries so far. I'm going to get 3 more, maybe 3 to 5 more countries this September.
Goals.
To Europe.
Goals are what make this game go round.
Yeah.
What kind of geocaches do you like to find?
All of them.
Every type? Even those earth caches?
Earth caches. I love earth caches.
Because there are a lot of people out there that don't like to do that homework. I'm not one of those, so it's good to see somebody who's just equal opportunity, all geocaches accepted.
That's right.
And what is it that brings you to the game of geocaching?
I used to just wander aimlessly, but now I have a purpose.
We have with us Moose Mob, who I have been very excited to be able to meet. We ran across each other briefly at the Swag Mega event in Yuma, but we didn't have a lot of time to converse there. Whereas this is a much smaller and intimate event, we have a little bit more time to get to know each other. And I've been finding and using his pencils all across the country. So if for no other reason, you should know Moose Mob from that. But he has actually done quite a bit out there in the community. How long have you been a part of this game?
Approaching 20 years now.
20 years, so 2004-ish in there? All right. And how many have you found in that time?
I don't keep track, but I think it's around 47,000.
You are one of the pioneers of many of the things that have become staples of this game now. What are some of the things that you helped to usher in for what we do now?
The first signal costume brought that into play. Now they got, of course, better quality because they got more money than I do. Well, pencils. And then the first mega power Trail of the Gods out in California. Short-lived as it was quite the hit. And I don't know, a few other things I haven't thought about. But retired as a reviewer. Did that for 11 years. has been around, is still excited with the game.
Well, and me certainly, but I think we as a community can say we appreciate everything you've done to help this game become what it's become today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In order to reach Zion National Park, coming out of St. George, you must first pass through Hurricane. This city of about 20,000 people first received its name when a whirlwind blew the top off a buggy in which Erastus Snow was riding. He exclaimed, "Well, that was a hurricane. We'll name this Hurricane Hill." And this place is known for some having pretty windy days, particularly in winter, where they can get to over 50 miles an hour. Despite the heavy winds and the name of the city, you should not expect to be seeing a hurricane here anytime soon. On our way through, we stopped to visit 3 virtuals, each of which taught us a little bit about the history of the early development of Hurricane. Settlers in the area suffered from flash floods from the wild Virginia River that devoured half their farmlands. In 1893, James Jepson and John Steele came up with a plan that would bring the Virgin River to the area in a controlled manner. Their vision was to tap into the Virgin River 7 miles away and channel the water through flumes, tunnels, and over deep ravines. This seemed impossible, as the canal would have to hang on steep, unstable cliffs and tunnel through sections of the mountain. It took more time, money, and resources than either man had anticipated, sometimes with up to 100 men at a time working on the canal. But in August of 1904, the seemingly impossible dream finally came true. Water flowed through the canal onto Hurricane Bench, giving life to more than 2,000 acres of fertile land and giving farmers in the area a fighting chance. Like the other national parks, there are no physical listings within Zion, which meant that to sate our need to sign some logbooks today, Aichan and I had to hunt down some geocaches before we entered the park. Fortunately for us, there was no lack of potential stops between St. George, Harrisburg Junction, and Hurricane. Aichan joined me to hunt down the few that were relatively close to parking, but declined to take on anything on the trails today. Not because she was feeling lazy, although she certainly does have her days, but because all of the trails here are loaded with goat heads, which stick straight into her paws. After a few encounters like that, she would simply stop at the beginning of the trailhead and give me that look that let me know that she had no intention of pulling those things out of her paws any further. While we always expect to see a lot of people when visiting a national park, we have never seen as many people in any national park as we saw in Zion National Park today. The Zion Canyon Scenic Drive, where the majority of our targets is located, is regularly closed from mid-March to late October. After fighting our way through the crowds to reach the entrance to the road, we were greeted by a group of rangers turning everybody around, letting them know that there would be no more traffic going up on the Scenic Drive today. At first, we were discouraged, but perhaps this is a good thing. We would really rather not experience the beauty of this park shoulder to shoulder with thousands of other people. So instead, we turned around, pulled off where we could, and enjoyed the views when we had a moment to do so. I suppose this should not be too surprising since this is Utah's oldest and most visited national park, hosting an average of 4.5 million visitors per year. The area has been inhabited going back as far as 1,500 years when the Anasazi people called this home. It did not see its first European settlers, though, until 1858 when Nephi Johnson arrived in the canyon and began construction of a log cabin that was completed in 1861. He named his home Zion, stating that a man can worship God among these great cathedrals as well as any man-made church. This is Zion. In 1909, President William Howard Taft signed a proclamation creating a national monument to protect Zion Canyon and its surrounding areas. In 1918, it was redesignated as Zion National Monument by the Woodrow Wilson administration, and then, by 1919, it received its status as a national park. Within its 232 square miles, you can find high plateaus, a maze of narrow, deep sandstone canyons, the Virgin River and its tributaries, Navajo sandstone cliffs, pine and juniper-clad slopes, seeps, springs, and waterfalls supporting lush and colorful hanging gardens. The fact of the matter is that even if we could access the Scenic Drive today, there are more impressive rock formations in this national park than we could hope to show you even with a full day or two available. Court of the Patriarchs, Towers of the Virgins, the Pulpit, the Spearhead, Beehives, and the Checkerboard Mesa. These are just a few of the amazing geological features you can hope to run across if you have an opportunity to explore this great national park. All right, and it looks like that is going to do it for our day. We began our morning in St. George at the Leap Day event and got to meet a lot of new geocachers. From there, the plan was to combine the little bit of what was left with today's plan with the rest of tomorrow's plan to go into Zion National Park and do all the earth caches and virtuals there as we tour the park. Unfortunately, that was not going to happen. The park was packed to the gills with people. So packed that the parking areas were full and they had to close down the roads. Rather than contending with the crowds, of which there were many, we decided instead to visit just a few places on our drive through the park and then continue on with our route for the day. We were able to get all the targets off the list for tomorrow's route with the time we saved from Zion National Park, and wouldn't you know it, we are completely one day ahead of schedule now. We're not going to hold that day for more than a week though, because we have somewhere we need to be at a certain time in Arizona. So over the next week, we will find a place where we want to use that day and spread it out accordingly. Either way, even with not being able to tour Zion National Park in depth, we know that we can still do that at a later time. We are very happy with the way today turned out. It was very scenic. We loved getting to meet new geocachers, and we got to make a lot of finds. Thank you guys for joining us on this tour of Utah on Leap Day. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trail.